So about me, for those of you that don't know me, I have a podcast, a couple podcasts, motivational speaker on multiple businesses from Buffalo, New York. I have over 20 something years in the financial industry. So I've done a little bit of everything in the financial industry. See thing. I did work for some corporations. I'm a full-time entrepreneur, been a full-time entrepreneur for the last couple of years running multiple businesses. But when I did work in the corporate world, these are just some of the industries and companies that I work for. HSBC, which I spent the longest time with, about 17 and a half years I was there. I worked at a Toyota and a Hyundai dealership as a sales manager, a financial consultant. Worked as an insurance agent with Geico. I was a loan processor and underwriter. Also had my own credit repair company, which I still do have. But I also managed a couple other credit repair companies in the past. And I also held my New York State realtor license in the past as well. Today's podcast or webinar, I should say, is hosted by okgobuffalo.com and greenbridgefunding.net. OK Go Buffalo is a advertising and lead generation website based out of Western New York. But any company throughout the country can advertise if they have a national service or product. And Greenbridge Funding is one of my companies, which we do business credit building. And we also provide loans, business credit cards, business lines of credit to entrepreneurs. Today is a free event. At the end, I will have my social media handles and Cashapp, Venmo, if anyone wants to leave a tip or anything like that. Not required, but if you want to. Other upcoming events I have coming up on Thursday, this Thursday, August 4th, I have a how to invest in Robinhood and Acorns. So if anyone is interested, I got everybody's email address, so I'll send you the email for that. And then if you're interested, and I also have some upcoming events in August, some free webinars about business funding and how to get access to a lot of money. So that's coming up sometime in August, which I will be emailing everyone. If everybody could put their phone on or computer on mute, please. And because you guys attended, this event today, you'll get a 15-minute consultation, which will be in the chat. So it'll be a link in the chat to go ahead and sign up for that. And you'll get a 15-minute consultation. We'll go over your business plans, your business goals, pretty much anything you want to talk about to help get your business going or your idea going. So for attending, you get that as well. A recording of this will be available starting tomorrow. If you want any information, just send me an email about how to get the recording, so you guys don't have to worry about taking notes. If you don't want to, you can just get the playback if you choose to, and you can take notes. But it's pretty much up to you. And also, I decided to go ahead and give away a free gift today for those who come on the call and stay to the end. You'll have your choice of a inquiry removal kit, which it's basically a kit to show you how to remove things on your personal credit report, inquiries on your personal credit report that's not tied to open accounts. They can't be tied to open accounts. Like a lot of times people go to dealerships and things like that and have 10, 20 inquiries on their credit report. So this removal kit will show you how to get those off in 24 to 48 hours. And you also have a choice between that or so a credit dispute letter kit that I have available as well. So all you guys have to do is just let me know, send me an email, and let me know which one you want for those that do stay to the end. Right. So the first thing in business you want to do is you want to come up with the idea. It's three phases in business. It's the idea, it's the execution, and follow-up. A lot of people get stuck at the idea phase and get analysis paralysis and don't get to the execution part, or they get discouraged, or they have a lack of funds, and those lack of funds, kind of deter you from getting your business idea off the ground. So the first thing you want to do is come up with the idea. The idea is very, very important that you come up with an idea, and you want to be unique with the idea. And a lot of times you have to really research, which is a part of doing due diligence. You want to make sure that you're studying the competition. You want to study other people in whatever industry or business that you're trying to start. You want to see what the trends are. You want to do a lot of due diligence. This is the step that a lot of people don't do. They just have an idea and they just go right in, or like I said, they have an idea and they don't do anything at all. So you got to research your competition. You got to figure out what your price point's going to be. And a lot of that comes from looking at your competition, looking at other businesses in that specific area that you're starting your business in or want to start your business in. And you want to also find out what the profit margin is. Like you want to find out if it's even feasible to be doing that business, because the goal of starting a business is to make money. So you want to make sure that you're able to have a good profit margin. And you also want to test the idea. And again, this is a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't do. So you want to kind of kick the idea around to your friends and family members, even people that you don't know. You could do a survey. You could do a survey. Hey, if I started this lawn care service, would you be a customer? How much would you pay for it? How much does the average, yard, would you pay for it, and things like that. So you want to ask questions like that. The next step is you want to figure out your startup capital and where you're going to get the funding from. Are you going to fund it yourself? Are you going to seek out investors? Are you going to try to get a loan? All of these things come with different things come with each one of these things. Like if you fund it yourself, a lot of people don't have a lot of startup money, and it definitely costs some money to get started. Definitely costs money to get started in any business that you run. If you seek investors, are those investors going to want a piece of your business? As far as equity, are those investors going to just loan you money? So that's all things that you have to think about. A lot of times when you don't have money, you try to go get an investor, they might want a piece of your business. Sometimes it may be worth it. Sometimes it might not be worth it. So anytime you're looking for a partner, you don't want to just look for money. It's almost like getting in a relationship with somebody or marrying somebody. You want to have other things to bring to the table other than money. Is that person that's a potential investor? Do they have time to help me, with my idea? Sometimes it can be a silent investor where they're not going to help you at all, and they just provide money. So all of those different things you got to think through when it comes to this stage of figuring out things right before you're about to launch the business. And some of you might already have a business. So all this stuff really applies as well to people, whether you're about to start a business, thinking about starting a business in the beginning phases, or if you're already starting a business. All these things really apply, So Those are all things to think about as well. Now, what I like to tell people to do in my consulting service is, just write out on one piece of paper. I know a lot of you guys heard of a business plan before. You don't need like a 50-page business plan to start a business. Only time you really need the purpose of a business plan is really a guide for you to be able to know where you're going in a business, and basically like doing your due diligence, like I showed you in the previous slides. So the main part of a business plan usually is people trying to get funding. Either they're going to a bank trying to get a loan, or they're trying to get money from an investor. And they'll want to see you have your thoughts on paper, see if you're hungry enough to and thought through the business by writing it out, coming up with projections and things like that, financial projections and things like that. So that's really what a business plan is for. But you don't need all of that starting out. You just need a one-page thing, and you want to just write down like your business, like what's your mission statement, like what is the purpose of me doing this business. You want to come out with a marketing plan, like how am I going to advertise the business? How am I going to get my message out to people? And then you want to come up with a sales plan. Now, sales and marketing is two different things. A lot of people think they're the same thing. Sales, excuse me, I went back, sorry. Sales is your interaction one-on-one with someone. Marketing is just advertising or promoting your business, right? So when you market your business, for example, Facebook ad, you do a Facebook ad, right? That's marketing. When you start to get prospects or leads in, now you're one-on-one with someone. Once they come to your website for a free consultation or a phone call or an email exchange, that's your sales plan. How am I going to sell? Like it's called a sales process. Like, what is my sales process? What am I going to do? Like when you talk to someone, you talk to a prospect, and they say, "Oh, I'm not interested." What's your plan to follow up with that person? So that's what a sales plan is. Marketing plan is pretty much, like I said, Facebook ad. It could be a Google ad. It could be ads on YouTube. It could be a webinar. It could be a podcast. It's all different types of things that you can do, which we're going to touch on a little bit shortly. And then projections. You want to also figure out the projections, like how much money is the business going to make? How much do you plan out? And you usually want to plan out at least 6 months to 12 months of projected income. Now, the thing about a plan or a projection is just a thought, and it's not going to happen the way that you have it written on paper. It never does. But again, it's just a guide to get you there, get you on a course to go down the path. Now, when you go down the path, sometimes you're going to have things that happen, and you're going to have to make adjustments and different things like that. So that's where projections are. You still, again, it's not going to be perfect. Don't try to be perfect with a business at all, because it's not going to go the way that you want it to go initially. All right. So these are the basics of it, and it's a lot more complex things that I can get into, but I just want to keep this simple and basic as a starting point for you to get going. To choose a business structure. All right. So now it's two separate things when it comes to business structures. And the questions that you have to ask yourself: am I trying to get funding from either a bank, a finance company, or an investor, or am I self-funding myself? Because there's two completely different routes for each one of those. Now, what I teach is, because the majority of people come to me to build their business credit and to get funding, to get business credit cards, business loans, business lines of credit, and things like that. So if you want to go that route of trying to get funding, then you have to have an LLC, which stands for a limited liability corporation, or a regular corporation, which is a C Corp or a S Corp. And the difference between the two, a S through is basically a pass-through entity. It's called a pass-through entity. So the profits and things that you make, it passes through to you personally, right? A C corporation is all of the profits that monies that come in, it gets taxed, and then you distribute the money to yourself. So it's almost like a lot of people call it double taxation. So C Corps has a certain purpose, is really, really good for a lot of Fortune 500 companies that you see on the stock exchange and things like that. That's what C Corps usually are. The general person with, under 100 employees, a S Corp is the way that you want to go, or a LLC. LLC is probably the most popular. A LLC or S Corp, you can't go wrong with either. The only difference is with a LLC, it could just be you by yourself. You don't have to have a board of directors and all of that fancy stuff if you don't want to. With an S Corp or a C Corp, either one of those two, with a corporation, you have to have a board of directors. So that's usually a CEO, which is usually you, a CEO, a president, a vice president, a treasurer, and a secretary. And you have to hold in pretty much all states in order to have an S Corp or a C Corp, you have to have an annual meeting, so let's keep those thoughts in mind. The LLC is pretty much the easiest route to go, but I am not a CPA. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a professional tax person. I just know business. So this is just my opinion and my advice. But a LLC is definitely the easiest way to enter a business. So those are the options that you have when you're trying to get funding. Now, a DBA or a partnership, those are which some call it a sole proprietorship, which is a DBA. That's just one person. A partnership is just two people. That's where you go down to your county clerk office and you get a doing business as or a sole proprietorship certificate. It's usually very inexpensive, probably in most counties, depending on what state you're in, they're anywhere from $20 to $40 to get started. Now, the bad thing about a DBA or a partnership is everything is tied to you as an individual. So if someone sues you in your business for whatever reason, and you don't have to have a physical location to get sued. So if someone sues you and you have a DBA or a partnership, they could come after your personal assets. Whether if you have a car, they could put a lien on your car and force you to sell your car. They can, if you own a home, they can force you to put a lien on your property, and they can garnish your wages if you have a lawsuit and someone wins it. So that's what a DBA or a partnership. And also the other bad thing about a DBA or partnership is you can't get business funding. No banks are going to give you any funding at all. But with an LLC or a corporation, you could get funding. If someone tries to sue you, that's fine. You can just simply close that business down, take the money out of the business account, and start another business. And there's nothing there for them to sue. But again, I'm not a CPA or a tax person or a financial advisor. So, that's just my opinion. Can everybody put their phone on mute, please? Computer or phone on mute. So that's the difference between a LLC, a corporation, being a C corporation, the S corporation, and then a DBA or a partnership. So the next thing you want to get after you decide what structure that you're going to pick is you want to get an EIN number, which is an employer identification number that you get from the IRS. That's the only place that can issue an EIN number. EIN numbers are free. So never pay somebody to do an EIN number for you because it's free. Now, is the application a little complex? It can be if it's your first time doing it. So it's not, something that's normal, and they don't give you help. So it's not like you get assistance, like you can get on the phone and, try calling the IRS if you owe them money, they'll easily get in contact with you. But if you're just trying to ask a simple question about the EIN process, is very difficult. But you have services that do charge people for EIN numbers. Our company, one of my companies, we do LLCs in New York State only, but we do it for free for people. We also do an operating agreement for free. And what an operating agreement basically is it's basically something that shows, it's like about 5 pages long, real simple, 5 pages long, and it's just something that you need to open a business bank account. That's all it's for, pretty much for. And it shows who the owners of a business are and what percentage they own. So that's all the operating agreement is. And again, some people can charge for operating agreement. We don't charge for EIN number or operating agreement, but there are places that will charge you for a operating agreement, usually under $50 to $100. You can get an operating agreement done for, but like I said, it's resources where you could get it done for free as well. And another thing about the EIN numbers, a lot of people really don't understand them as much, but the main purpose that they came about was it's basically a way for the IRS to track you as a business owner. Even though it's a corporation, someone has to still start a corporation, right? So that's their way of tracking you for tax purposes. And it's also a way for you to be identified when you're filing taxes, like, for all of you that do work or have a job, and you see the taxes, the deductions that come out, that employer is being identified. Like when you get your taxes done, you'll see an EIN number from the employer. So that's what the main purpose of an EIN number is for. But again, you do need those to, especially if you're trying to get funding, you definitely have to have an EIN number. And to open a business bank account, you have to have an operating agreement. Logo is an important part that people skip over, but you definitely want to have a logo. Your logo is something very professional that makes your business stand out. And the other thing about the logo is underwriters, when you're applying for business funding, they look to make sure that you have a logo. They want to make sure that people looks professional, and there's a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of scams. There's a lot of people that have bad intentions. They're not going to go through and do all of these steps to try to get funding, but having a logo is very, very important. And that's a way to brand yourself. So you always want to have a logo. You want to get a logo no matter what you do. You want to get a logo. Logos are very inexpensive, don't cost that much money, and it's a good way to brand yourself. And again, when you're trying to get funding, you have to have a logo. So just keep that in mind. Business communications, as far as a phone number goes, you can't use like a personal cell phone number. Again, remember, everything that I'm teaching you guys or telling you guys all has to do with getting funding. If you're not trying to get funding, none of this stuff applies. You can do whatever you want. If you're financing, your business yourself, you don't have to worry about none of these things. But if you're trying to get funding of any sort, whether it's a business credit card, business line of credit, a business loan, you definitely have to have a business phone number. And the business phone number has to be what's called a VoIP, a VoIP number, which means voice over internet provider. It's basically a phone number that can be stored in 411. 411 is a directory that all underwriters use when you apply for a business credit card, a business loan, or a business line of credit. They use that to see if you're legitimate. Because in 411, you can't just put yourself in 411. You have to be picked up by 411. They have to notice your business. And there's other ways to get listed in 411, which I can show you guys. But what 411 is basically a directory that is used by underwriters. So if you have your personal phone number on a application and you're using that phone number as your business number, the underwriter goes to look up your phone number and they're going to see that it's a cell phone. They'll automatically decline you. And one thing about the business credit world that's different than the personal credit world is in business credit, they don't have to tell you the reason why they decline you. They don't have to. Like in personal credit, you go to a dealership, you get declined, and they send you that letter, or you try to apply for a credit card or a loan and you get declined. They send you that letter. You can get a free credit report, see what's on your information. They tell you the reasons. That's because there's laws that govern the personal credit world. But in the business credit world, it's like the wild, wild west. The bank don't even have to tell you that they decline you because your phone number is a cell phone, or your email is a Yahoo or a Gmail address. So just make sure you guys keep that in mind. And speaking of email address, your email address has to match. Like you have to have like a domain name, www.johnslawncareservice.com. And then your email address has to match your domain name, which something like info@johnslawncareservice.com. Email addresses are very, very inexpensive, about $40 some dollars a year. A domain name is very, very inexpensive as well, like $20 a year. But just keep that in mind. You cannot use a Gmail. You can use it for personal reasons, a Gmail or a Yahoo, but you can't use that for as far as dealing in business and trying to get funding. So just keep those things in mind as well. Speaking of a domain name, you have to have a website. In order to have a website, you got to have a domain name. Like I just told you guys, it's about $20 a year. You could get a website done, at least a basic website, because underwriters will look to make sure that you have an online presence. Being on Facebook is cool, Instagram and all the other stuff is cool, but when you're dealing in the funding world, underwriters, they don't look at your Facebook and things like that. They look to see if you got a website. And if you don't got a website, number one, not even just funding, people don't take you serious if you don't have a website. If you just only have social media channels or social media accounts, you have to have a website if you're trying to get funding and you want people to take you serious. All right. So websites are very inexpensive, don't cost that much money. There are even services that will not just design your website, but they'll write the content for you. If you give them kind of an idea of what you're looking for, they'll definitely help you out with that. But you definitely have to have a website if you're trying to get financing or funding of any sort, which again, the domain name is tied to you having a website. And then a web hosting service is every single website that's on the internet that you go to all have a web hosting service. Web hosting services usually are between $15 and $40, a month, depending on what type of website. If you got just a basic website, it's going to be closer to that $15, $20 a month mark. If you have like an e-commerce website where you sell products, or let's say you have a clothing website or something like that, it'll be a little bit more monthly, closer to that $30, $40 mark for a web hosting service. Business bank account. That's another thing that you have to have when you're getting funding, because they will request that information from you. And like I told you guys before, you have to have an operating agreement to open a business bank account with most banks. Not all, but majority of banks and credit unions, you have to have a business bank account. So you want to have that business bank account to separate yourself from your business. So that's pretty much what a business bank account is for. And it's also good as well for you to show that, that you are responsible and that you can handle finances, even if you don't even have to have a lot of money going through your business bank account, just having it is a big step, so you definitely want to have a business bank account if you're trying to get funding. A merchant account, that's a way for you to collect payment from people over the internet if you're not physically selling hand to hand. And even if you are selling hand to hand, you always want to have an option for people to pay digitally. Not many people walk around with money anymore. Not many. So you want to have, whether you're selling things hand to hand or you're selling things over the internet, you want to have a merchant account set up. And a merchant account is basically PayPal. Like you can have a business PayPal account, a Square account. Those are merchant accounts. And then they have more traditional merchant accounts. If you're getting into like e-commerce, like the selling clothing or shoes or anything like on Amazon related, when you have different products like that. So they do have merchant services, but I highly recommend either PayPal or Square. It's free. It doesn't cost you any money, and they basically pretty much charge a transaction fee. So the transaction fee is usually about 3%. So for every $100 you charge somebody, they make their money by charging you that $3. So that's basically what a merchant account is for. And again, you need that in order to get business funding. Business credit. Business credit is not difficult. It's just a lot of information, and it's a lot of information out there. But I'll break it down to you guys in the simplest form that I can say. What business credit is in the personal credit world. Let me explain the personal credit world for those of you that don't know. Your credit scores is basically based off of a FICO score. A FICO score is used by 92% of all lenders use a FICO score. And FICO comes from Fair Isaac Corporation, which invented the FICO score. So a FICO score has competition. And like I said, 92% of banks, mortgage lenders, credit card issuers, car loan places, they 92% of them use the FICO score to make their lending decisions. Then there's about 8% that use what's called a Vantage score, which you guys might be familiar with if you have a Credit Karma account. Credit Karma credit reports are utilized with a Vantage score. Now, a Vantage score has a completely different model. So your Vantage score, you can go on Credit Karma, which will show you your Equifax and TransUnion credit reports, and you might have a completely different credit score. Like let's say you have a 600 credit score on Credit Karma, your TransUnion, and both of them, the TransUnion 600 and the Equifax is 600. You go to a car dealership to get a loan to go buy a car. They run your credit and they tell you your credit score is a 520. You're like, my credit score is not a 520, it's a 600. You pull up your Credit Karma trying to show the dealer or the salesperson or whatever. That's because it's a FICO score that the dealership is using, and Vantage score is what you see on Credit Karma. So, but again, 92% of lenders use FICO scores. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at your Credit Karma and things like that. Those are not, I'm not going to say they're not real scores because they are used for certain 8% of lenders, but majority of lenders don't look at FICO scores. The only place you can get a FICO score from is from myfico.com. That's where you can get your official FICO scores from. And speaking of scores, there's on your personal side, you literally have about 28 to 30 credit scores. A lot of people don't know that. It's not just one score that you have, even with FICO. So I'm not going to get, because this webinar is not about personal credit, but just keep that in mind when you're looking at Credit Karma and things like that. Now, also in the personal credit world, the FICO score goes from 350 to 850 as a credit score. A Vantage score goes from 300 to 900. All right. Now, in the business credit world, you have the biggest credit bureau is called Dun and Bradstreet, Arian Corporate, and Equifax Corporate. There's no TransUnion on the business side. And the business credit scores are from 0 to 100, with of course 100 being the best. All right. So that's the business credit world, is 0 to 100. Now, the reason a lot of people get turned down, you may have know some people personally that try to go to a bank to get a SBA loan or any type of funding. When you first start your business, you don't have a business credit score at all. Your credit score is a 0. So you have to be able to build that credit. Now, how can you build something if most people are not going to just give you $10,000? You go apply for a business credit card because you don't have any business credit. It's not nothing to do with you or your business. Is you just don't have no credit established, so they don't trust you. So what my company does is we have a business credit building program where we basically get someone's business credit score to almost like the equivalent of a 700 credit score in the personal world in 3 to 5 months through our business credit building program. And the good thing about business credit is you can have horrible personal credit and it doesn't affect your business credit. It has nothing to do with it, because all these business places, they ask for your EIN number, or they'll ask for your DUNS number, which is a Dun and Bradstreet. That's their version of, like your social security number that generates your business credit score. All right. So that's the simplest way that I can put it. It's a lot more to it, but just keep it in mind, it's a 0 to 100. And the goal is to try to get your business credit score to about an 80. Once you get to an 80, what you can get to in 3 to 5 months, if you're like really on the program and serious and not taking breaks and things like that, you can generate that very quick. And once you get an 80 business credit score or higher, now you can go and get business credit cards. And in the business credit world, when they give you credit cards, it's not no $300 limit, $500 or $1,000 limits. Most business credit cards start out at $10,000, and they can go up to $1 million. Not that you're going to get $1 million like right out of the gate, but in the business credit world, the limits are super high. All right. But you have to have a 80 credit score or higher to even be in the conversation, to even try to get it, So just keep that in mind. Like I said, we do have a business credit building program, which I had the information like at the end about. And the other thing about the business credit world is your personal credit is actually tied to it as well. And the goal for your personal credit, you want to get to a 680 in the personal credit world. All right, FICO score. You want to get to a 680 FICO score. Now, like I just explained to you guys, it takes 3 to 5 months to build your business credit, regardless if you have poor credit or not. However, if you have good personal credit, meaning a 680 or higher, now there's programs, a ton of programs where you can start your business, not even have a business credit score yet, and you will be able to have access to 10 to 150,000 just like that if you got a 680 credit score. They make you do what's called a personal guarantee, where they'll give you the money, but they'll just make you, sign basically saying that if you default on this loan, it'll go on your personal credit report. But when you get the loan, it doesn't go on there. It only goes on your personal credit if you default. All right. So if you guys have a 680 credit score and you start an LLC today, for example, you could get access to 10 to 150,000. Now, the limits are going to depend on your personal credit limits. So the way that they do it is they'll look at the highest credit card that you have. For example, let's say you have a credit card with a $10,000 credit limit. They do 5 times whatever the highest limit you have. So if you have a $10,000 card, you'll get approved for $50,000. It's that simple. If you got a $20,000 credit limit, That's 100,000 that you're going to apply for, but the max is 150. So it's between 10,000 and 150,000. And the other cool thing about the business credit world is, let's say you were interested in this program that I'm talking about, where you could just walk in with a fresh, brand new LLC that you just started yesterday. You don't have to have a 680 credit score. You could have a credit partner. It could be a friend, family member, partner. It doesn't matter. They don't care who the person is. If they have a 680 credit score or higher, you can use them as your credit lending partner. So that's another beautiful thing about the business credit world. But the goal for you personally should be to get to a 680 credit score. Now you could get through that by having services like credit monitoring services, like Credit Karma is one. But again, Credit Karma, you only see 2 of your credit reports. But there's other credit monitoring services that will show you, like score simulators. Like if you pay this down, your score will go up 13 points. If you pay this off, it'll go down. If you dispute this thing on your credit report and it comes off, your score will go up. So you want to get more advanced credit monitoring services, again, which will be in the links. I'll have some in the links at the end. You'll be able to see all of those things. And again, you'll get an email. Everyone on here will get an email with those links, other stuff that I'm talking about as well. So you want to definitely have a credit monitoring service, and you want to shoot to get your credit score to a 680. Now, when you start to market, promote your business, some basic platforms that you want to be on. You don't have to be on all. I recommend you be on ones that you're comfortable with being on. Facebook, of course, which is Facebook is the largest outside of YouTube. YouTube is the largest, but Facebook is the second largest non-video social media platform that you want to be on. And you want to create a business page for your brand. You want to create a business plan, and you want to try to grow that brand via a business page. Instagram, same thing. You want to get a business Instagram page for yourself. YouTube channel, you want to get a personal YouTube channel for yourself as well. Twitter, TikTok, which is the newest, the newest phase of what's going on as far as social media is concerned, and LinkedIn, which is more tied to business professionals. So you don't have to be on all of these platforms, but it's good to at least be on a mix of at least a couple of them you want to be on. And this is a great way to attract people to whatever product or service that you will be selling. Now, how to dominate on social media. First, you want to definitely figure out who your target audience is, like who you want to, and again, this goes back to the beginning when I was talking about writing out a one-page plan about, your marketing plan. This here, you want to definitely come up with, they call it in the business world, they call it an avatar. An avatar is basically, who is your basic customer? Is it a woman, a man? What age bracket are they in? How much money do they make? What type of things do they do? That's where you find out who your target audience is. Now, of course, everybody has a product or service and they want to sell to everybody, right? But you want to also have a target audience of people that it's cool if somebody else buys from you or, patronizes your business, but you want to focus on your target audience and you want to go to where they're at. Are they on Facebook? And another thing about social media that I always talk to people in consultation sessions about when I'm asking them, they're having problems in their business and they need to know, how to generate more sales or how to get out to more people. The first thing I ask people is, how are you marketing right now? Everybody's social media. You guys got to remember, everybody is not on social media, even though that's the wave of the future and that's what's going on right now. But you got to also realize everybody is not on social media. So you have to have outside things like offline, I like to call them offline marketing strategies, which we'll get into shortly. But I just want to make sure I mention that because social media is cool, but it's not everything. All right. You want to post consistently on those platforms, on your business pages. You definitely want to post and stay active, because people's attention spans are very short, very, very short. And your competition is not somebody that always sells the same thing as you. Your competition is just anybody that sells anything else is your competition, because everybody is marketing and trying to get the attention of people. Everybody is doing that. All right. Interact with your audience. So if you're shy, get you a spokesperson, get you a friend or a family member to be your president. You're the CEO. But if you have a passive or don't like to talk to people or don't like to quote unquote sell, then you want to compensate that by getting somebody that's your front person that's not afraid to talk to people, that's not afraid to sell to people. And they also have services that you can utilize. They have virtual assistants that you can get that will make sales calls for you or answer the phone for you and different things like that. So you definitely have to interact with your audience. People want to know that you're authentic. They want to, they want to know that they're not just dealing with like a big corporation or like a machine. They want to deal with people. People like to deal with people, so you definitely have to interact with people. Offer advice for free. It's another thing, you want to offer advice for free. Don't try to charge people for every single thing. You want to give away you want to add value. And that's what anything in life, you don't want to just come across as a taker. You want to give people things, give them free advice, not too much, but you want to definitely give people enough free information to have them, patronize your business, do a podcast around the industry or brand or your brand. Again, this is for people that's a little bit more outward, but you can do a podcast. And a podcast don't have to be a video either. There's services where you can do an audio podcast if you don't like the attention or like to be seen, or you get nervous in front of cameras and things like that. You can do an audio podcast, so it don't have to be a video podcast, Excuse me. But there's different ways to spend communicating with people. And a podcast is definitely a great way to communicate and to build a network of people. Start a blog, and have it linked to your website. Just write, especially if you're a good writer. You don't even have to be a good writer. There's services that for everything that you don't know how to do, there's something to compensate for it. So start a blog. Just start interacting on the blog and sharing it. That's a great way to find new customers and reach a new base. Offer to write free articles, on blogs and community newspapers. Like if you have a community newspaper, hey, ask, can you write an article? You'll do it for free. Again, everything is not about charging or trying to get money, So you can write free articles on blogs. You see a blog online, ask them, can you write an article? You see a community newspaper, ask, can you write an article? Especially if they're not covering your product or service in some aspect. Like for me, for example, I'm a financial guy, and financial stuff is like, for years was like nobody was paying attention to it, but now everybody's on this financial literacy kick. I've been on this kick for 20 years, but it's easy for me to be a guest writer in a newspaper or a blog because nobody's talking about financial literacy, or the people that they don't have the capacity. I shouldn't say they're not talking about it, but a lot of people don't have the capacity to talk about it. They're either in one industry, like a real estate agent, for example, who only could talk about real estate. I can talk about multiple industries and multiple things in the financial industry. That's what makes me unique. And that's another thing about writing. This is why I'm telling you guys this. Reach out to these blogs and newspapers and write free articles on your service, your product, or your brand. Get a brand influencer. Sometimes you could, throw somebody a couple of dollars to promote your business. Somebody that has a real large audience. For a couple of dollars, there's all kind of brand influencers, and there's also services where you can go. And I'm talking like $50 type money. I'm not talking about hundreds or thousands of dollars. but you can get someone to talk about your brand. There's a bunch of people out there, a bunch of brand influencers. Another brand influencer idea is to utilize the people that you have, like on Facebook, for example, or your friends on Facebook. You know, you can hit your people up and say, hey, could you do me a favor and just talk about my business? You know, I'll throw you $5. You know, throw you know, a couple of your friends, you know, a couple of dollars, or you know, offer them food or something, and have them just, you know, post something about your business or whatever. That gets engagement, you know. So that's another idea. It doesn't have to be a major brand influencer. It could be someone as simple as your best friend or a family member or friend. So again, marketing, everything is not online, like I said previously. So you want to find other offline things. Local community papers are slept on. That's a great place to market. A lot of people still read newspapers, believe it or not, especially those community newspapers. So that's a great avenue to go down, is to go down that route of seeing in your community, in your neighborhood, in your area, your town or city or whatever, find out the offline stuff, you know, community boards, going to put flyers and things like that up on in community centers and different things like that. That stuff gets attention. All right, so everything is not online. Invest in Facebook ads, back to online. Invest in Facebook ad, YouTube, and Google ads. Very inexpensive. You can do a Facebook ad, spend $5 and reach 1,000 people with a Facebook ad. So that's another great way to market or promote your business. Don't forget about your family and friends. A lot of people overlook that because they think, and I get why, because a lot of times your friends and family members sometimes could be your biggest detractors or the biggest people that discourage you, you know, from your idea or your business or what have you. So I get it, but how many times do you see a Geico commercial on TV? They don't care if who's watching it, who's listening. They're gonna promote their business, you know, and that's what you have to think like. You know, Geico is $1 billion. I work for Geico. Geico is $1 billion. They're marketing geniuses, and think about a commercial. They're a multi-billion-dollar company, and you still see their ads. So if you're a one-man operation, or you know, a 1 or 2 man operations, shouldn't you be promoting as well? You think that just because they're $1 billion company, they just stop advertising and marketing their commercials and things like that? You see, they're everywhere, and that's the mindset that you have to have when it comes to marketing and promoting. You know, so your family and friends are huge. Again, even though, again, some of them could be detractors, but then you have supporters. You got those supporters out there as well. You have a lot of people that's friends or family that will love to help you, but you just gotta open your mouth and don't be shy. You know, you gotta talk about your business. You know, get some business cards and flyers, and market everywhere. You know, when you go into the grocery store, just practice. And again, a lot of it comes down to people being shy or uncomfortable communicating with people. Well, if you have a business, like, a closed mouth don't get fed, you know, and you're in business to make money. The difference between having a job and having a business is, with a job, no matter what you do, you go to work and, you know, put in no effort and you still can get the same paycheck. You can go to work and be a go-getter, go over and above, you still can get that same exact paycheck. But in business, the amount of money that you make is directly tied to your efforts. You can tell how much money you're making by how much marketing you're doing. When you're marketing and promoting your business, it'll show up in the numbers. Like, it's a famous saying, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So you have, the more people that you touch, the more prospects that come into your business. But if you're not talking to nobody, you're not handing out flyers or business cards and family members and friends and doing all these other things, and I'm telling you guys, it's going to show up in your numbers. You're not going to see any results. you know? So you have to come out again. If you are shy or you are uncomfortable talking to people, partner with somebody, not as far as like giving them equity in your business or anything like that. But I mean, find somebody that is not. Like I said, there's all kind of services that you can get for very cheap. So these things work. These things work, but they have to be in conjunction. And again, that's why you can't just do one thing. You can't just go on or just do a Facebook ad and just expect everything to happen. You can't just go offline and expect everything to happen. You can't just talk to your friends and family members. Expect all these things have to be done in concert with each other. It have to be in multiples, and you have to have a, you know, like they call it guerrilla marketing. You have to have a guerrilla marketing, you know, mindset when it comes to business. Right. So, and we went through that kind of quick, but it up for questions now. Stop sharing. Second. All right. So instead of writing it in the chat, if anyone has a question, just feel free to just unmute yourself and go ahead and ask. Shy. CJ,
Yeah, I
yeah.
did. I wrote my question in the chat, but I'll read it. So my business doesn't have a high startup cost, but I know I'm gonna have to cut some hours at my regular job to pursue it. Is it possible to get like a business loan to make up the difference in the income until my business starts to make money?
What's your name?
CJ.
CJ. Okay. CJ. That's a good question. What industry are you in?
Tutoring.
Tutoring. What type of tutoring? Is it like children or?
Yes, children and higher education.
Okay. Tutoring, that's a hot industry right now. Like that industry is on fire right now. A lot of people making a lot of money in that industry. What I would advise you to do is make sure that, because you don't want to like quit your job. Like I don't want to, you know, say that. Because a job, as you know, can, as everybody on the call knows, a job can definitely be in your way. A lot of the time a job is in your way. So what you can do is you want to make sure that you just watch the money that you make in your business. Right now, what are you doing with the funds that are coming in? Are you putting that money back into the business?
I haven't started yet. I'm just thinking about it.
Okay.
I'm in
Okay.
the idea stage, but I'm trying to push to get to the stage where it's not an idea and it's an actuality.
Got you. Okay, I thought you said you started already. Okay, so this is the idea phase. Yes, definitely. You want to go down the path to get you your LLC or corporation. It's just you going to be the owner.
Yes.
Yeah, I would advise for that industry, and you just being the only owner, getting an LLC, which is very inexpensive. Starting that process. Go ahead and get your business, your domain name, so you can get your business website. Get out, lay the foundation, which doesn't take a long time, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. Like to get your foundation laid, we're talking under $1,000 to get, between getting the LLC, getting a website, getting your domain name, business email address, business phone number, business bank account. You can accomplish all that with $700 or sometimes even under. If you don't have a complex website. If you got a basic website, you could get all of that stuff done for $700 or cheaper, right? Then, do you have good personal credit?
Yes.
680 or higher?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Because now when you go ahead and lay that foundation, right? you got options now. So you don't have to necessarily go the route of building business credit and have to just rely on that 3 to 5 months, getting on our program and then having to wait for 3 to 5 months. You can start the process immediately once you lay the foundation because you have a 680 or higher business credit score. Like, what's your highest credit limit?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure offhand.
Is it 10,000, maybe 5,000?
Probably in the 10,000, yeah.
You get access to $50,000, up to $50,000. You don't have to take the whole 50,000, but you definitely are in a wonderful position right now, So that's what you want to do is you want to lay that foundation. Make sure you schedule a call with me for your free 15-minute consultation. And then we could go further, and I could definitely let you know because you're in a super great position.
Okay.
All right. So just make sure you book that call, and then we'll talk further about that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And also, CJ, about your question about marketing and sales as well. While I'm there, I do see the questions now.
It wasn't a question. I was like writing a business plan, and I saw that it had like like a template that I was using had marketing and it had sales, and I didn't know what the difference. But you explained it well, and I appreciate that.
Okay. Yep. Any other questions? Let me see. Anybody else have any other questions? I'm gonna put this info up so everybody can see the links and stuff that I was talking about. Just give me 1 second. Second, I'm sorry, guys. Also, while you guys are waiting on me to pull this up, for everybody that's on here, just if you guys could just put in the chat, which one of the two, the credit inquiry removal kit that you want, and these are things I sell for $47, guys. So you can get them for free, or one of them for free. So if you want the credit repair letters, just put that in the chat. And if you want the inquiry removal kit within to get those inquiries removed in 24 to 48 hours, that to you later on tonight or first thing in the morning. What I'm going to do is I'm going to email you guys all of the links. I can't pull it up here. I don't know why it's not working. So I will email very shortly everyone all of the links of all of the things that I talked about, whether it was setting up your LLC in New York State, setting up your LLC in another state, business phone number, or resource where to go get that VoIP number that I was telling you guys about, business email address, all of those different resources. I'll be emailing out to everyone, have everyone's email address. So if you don't have any more questions, I appreciate everyone for showing up, and I will be emailing you about upcoming events, and I'll also get that list out to you, and just let me know, email me what everyone wants as their gift. See some in the chat, but email me for the ones that didn't put it in the chat. Thank you guys, and have a great day.